So I was looking at Anthony Joshua's post-fight conference response to his loss to Alexander Usyk, and he saw it more as a learning experience, gathering information, gathering intel on how to deal with that style, where he was effective, where adjustments were made by him in the fight. And like I said, he always be a step behind Usyk, even though Usyk did get tagged up. As you can see, Usyk got cut underneath both his eyes, so it means Anthony Joshua did get to him. It was a competitive fight, and it wasn't like Anthony Joshua was getting dusted until the 11th and 12th rounds when Usyk started putting on the heat. But one of the things in boxing that we don't really talk too much about is pacing and rhythm. So Usyk wanted to keep a certain rhythm, his corner. That's why they didn't try to go for the kill, because it would have thrown off his rhythm. And that in of itself is another thing, that Joshua, couldn't pick up on Usyk's rhythm very, very well. He was like sporadically in spots doing well, but he really overall wasn't really creating tremendous problems for Usyk. And Usyk even said, this was not one of his tougher fights. And one of the reasons that happened, again, is because of Usyk's rhythm and his pacing. So the pacing he was using and the rhythm he was using, which Joshua was equal to the task. I compliment Joshua in several different ways in this fight. You know what I mean? Hold on a second here. Okay. So I mean, he did very well for different aspects of the fight, and I gotta say that. Now, what can Anthony Joshua do to sort of offset Usyk a little bit more? Well, as his coach said, he needed to press the attack a little bit more. He needed to press up on Usyk. He needed to get close to Usyk. It's not easy to get close to Usyk because Usyk keeps on pivoting around you. And as I said before, foot speed wise, Usyk was actually the quicker of the two in terms of moving and pivoting. But if you could sort of pressure Usyk and sort of back him up into the ropes, which was kind of hard to do, but if he could do that, that would be good. One of the things to be able to do that, because if you can get your weight on Usyk, if you can get your size and mass and weight on him, that would help, because you're much heavier than he is. So how do you do that? How do you get into a clinch? How do you get to walk him to the ropes in a clinch? Well, there are different ways to get on the inside of any fighter, whether it's southpaw or orthodox. So one of the things that Anthony Joshua could have done, okay, to Usyk, was, I'm an orthodox fighter. Of course, I'm trying to catch the punch right here. So when he shoots his lead left, if I'm here or if I'm here, I want to close up or I want to block it. Now he could sweep it. He could do like he's going to shoot the shot here in the southpaw's hands. He look like he's going to shoot the shot here, and then he could shoot the jab, or he could counter over your jab. He could counter over your jab, but he can't see it. This is from bottom to top. I try to kind of line it up with the camera. He could counter over your jab like that, right? So there's those things you're looking for, but ultimately in the end, if you can dip to the right, which is, it's just a slight movement, just dip to the right. So if you're here and you dip to the right, that might help as well. But the trick to it is, when you deal with fighters like this, you have to be able to get to the preferred range that you want. So he wanted to get to the inside of Usyk. Usyk wasn't allowing him to get to the inside. Usyk was fighting him at mid-range, which is where Usyk's best work is done. But if you could get Usyk on the inside and have an infight with him, that would work in the benefit of Anthony Joshua, because his weight plays a major key in that, and he gets to throw his uppercuts on the inside. So these are little things that I guess his trainer was trying to get him to do. But it's hard when you're going down the wrong line all the time and the guy's counter-punching you, check-hooking you, whatever he's doing. It's a little bit different. It's like Kell Brook when he was fighting Terence Crawford. Kell Brook was, tattooing Terence Crawford in the orthodox stance with right hands. But then as soon as Terence Crawford went southpaw, it was harder for Kell Brook to get that lead right hand down the center, because he was reaching in to throw the lead right. And then, he was reaching in and then rolling out. But when you try to do that, remember, if you don't get the right angle to shoot the right hand down the center, right? If you don't have the right angle, what happens is the guy can counterpunch you, and you see what happened with Kell Brook. Of course, he wasn't expecting that quick check left hook either. So, you know, these are things in boxing you have to be aware of. Always aware of what's coming back at you. You know, if you look at, I don't know if you guys ever saw Muhammad Ali's, some of his training clips with his trainer, where his trainer had him always trying to anticipate and expect what was coming. So his trainer had Muhammad Ali threw a left hook to the trainer's body, exposing his left side here without keeping his hand to parry. When you throw the left hook with an exposed arm here, and you throw the left hook, you should have a hand here to be able to parry an upcoming left hook or a counter right hook to your shot on your left side. You must have the glove there. You know, when you throw the jab, I'm going to go from the orthodox stance here. If I throw a jab, this hand should be here ready to catch the shot and parry it down. Okay? So these are just fundamental things in boxing. Why some guys get caught with the jab. Other guys look like they got caught with the jab, but really they parry down the shot. You know, and if you parry down the shot properly, maybe when you bring back your jab, you can also counter over the parried shot. Okay? And all boxers know this, but it's just that how many people are consistent defensively doing these things, right? Timothy Bradley versus Manny Pacquiao. A lot of times when Manny Pacquiao looked like his lead left landed, Timothy Bradley had parried down the left hand, and so because he's so short and compact, it looks like he got hit, but he didn't get hit. So these are all little things that you guys should check out when you're, you know, looking at boxing and stuff like that. But anyway, so tactically, you should keep your defense intact. With Usyk, if you're going to shoot the right hand, or if you're going to throw your jab over Usyk's jab, which Usyk kind of neutralized somewhat Anthony Joshua's jab, so he kind of knew what jabs was coming because he kind of touched the jab. He kept on tapping the jab with the left hand, tapping the jab with the left hand. They were both trying to get over each other's jab. And so if you got a jab, a hook coming at you, or a jab into a hook coming at you, and you got the lead left coming at you in another place, it's kind of tricky because Usyk is not only continuously moving and pivoting one way or the other, but he's also throwing the lead left, and then he's also hooking over your jab, or he's jabbing over your jab. And he's selectively mixing up the jabs. He's going up top or sometimes down below. So it was that sort of conundrum that Anthony Joshua was dealing with as he's pivoting one way and then Usyk might pivot the other way. Why Usyk was very much an elusive target. Like I said, Usyk and Michael Hunter are very difficult fighters to face, even for big fighters, because of the way how they use and mix their defense with their offense. Right? And they're very gifted fighters. So Alexander Usyk beating Anthony Joshua, again, it didn't surprise me because, like I said before, I thought it was a 50-50 fight. It was competitive. It was a competitive fight all the way to the finish. I didn't think that Anthony Joshua won as many rounds as Blue Blood Sports TV was saying, but I can see how competitive some of those rounds were. I think Usyk was doing some of the better work. I think it was a unanimous decision win for Usyk, obviously. But I could see how, again, it was a competitive fight. Even though I thought Usyk started off the fight in control of the fight from the first round. Okay? From the first round, he was in control of this fight. But here's what I apply Anthony Joshua on. His attitude. He is looking at ways to succeed over this challenge that he faces. This is the one thing I want to suggest to Anthony Joshua, which he didn't quite do. But if you got the high guard up here, knuckle down, chin down, I'll walk him down. Just walk him down. Cut off the ring and walk him down. I constantly just put pressure there, pop the jab every now and then, and walk him down. So just knuckle up and walk him down, okay? And cut off the ring. Because the one thing he can't do is if he seeks to pivot one way, you can just slide directly in front of him and cut him off. Okay? And even though he's constantly moving, your lateral sliding can box him in. So one of the things I would suggest to Anthony Joshua is learn how to expertly cut off the ring. Hunt him down. All right? Because you're dealing with a boxer. And what we all know is you pressure a boxer. You know, as they say, you fight a boxer and you box a pressure fighter. So you need to box them in. Once you box them in, now you take your time and round by round work that pressure to try to take him out. I know they're weird angles, but here's the thing to remember about a southpaw. If a southpaw is coming at you, he's looking to attack you weak side. He's going to either attack you to the right of your jabbing hand, or if your power hand has been thrown, he's going to try and catch you to the left of your power hand. So the key here is to walk equally coming down this way. You know he's trying to try and go that way. He's most likely going to try to go that way. And if he goes this way, it's because he's trying to induce you to throw your power hand so he can counter you this way. So once you know that, box him out. Bob and weave, box him out. Right? Keep your head slipped off the center line and keep on walking him down. So I would suggest that Anthony Joshua, that he tries doing that at certain points in the fight. You gotta pressure Usyk at times. And you know, a guy like I see his face, I just can't remember his name. But the guy that faced Usyk in the amateurs in the heavyweight finals, I just can't remember his name right now. He has a really good jab, and the jab is the key. But of course, Usyk kind of kept Anthony Joshua's jab at home, and then when Anthony Joshua finally established his jab of some kind, he wasn't really landing with it. But the key to it is to pop your jab, and sometimes you just have to be insistent on it and just pop the jab anyway. And you're gonna get hit, you're gonna get hurt. Now, from what I heard, Usyk damaged Anthony Joshua's eye orbital, and of course, Anthony Joshua also hurt Usyk in his face. He landed some really crisp, really sharp, very powerful punches. But the reason why Usyk didn't take as much damage, because Anthony Joshua can punch, is because Usyk was snapping back and he was doing so many different things to take the full brunt of force off the punch. So he's snapping back, rolling the punches, riding punches. You know, he's a very slippery kind of guy. Usyk is a slick fighter. He's a slippery guy. And so that's why he was able to do what he did to Anthony Joshua. And like I said before, it's a very difficult fight. But there is a method to his madness. You know, there's a method to what Usyk has been doing with Anthony Joshua. So once you understand the system, now you got to break down, how do I solve that system? How do I get equalize the playing field? And that is, you have to mix your boxing, Anthony Joshua, with your fighting, with your walking him down. You might have to take a couple punches to get to him, but you got to do that. So it's a mixture of what Derek Chisora did and some fine boxing. You can't just box him all the way through and think you're going to outbox this dude. That's not happening, because he's so many years ahead of you. He knows what tempo to go at, what pace to go at, what rhythm to move. You know, that will all set your rhythm so you can't set to do what you want to do. You know, to throw. You have to learn how to throw. You have to learn how to throw without setting up to throw. You have to also throw on telegraph shots, like how Caleb Plant threw an untelegraphed shot to Canelo. You have to learn to do these sort of things so that your body doesn't indicate, because you're slow, your body doesn't indicate what you're about to do, because Usyk's going to put you in situations where you would react a certain way. He limits how much of what you can do in that ring, because he's the conductor of the fight. He's the orchestrator of the fight. He's dictating the terms of the fight, and you don't realize that. So Usyk is a difficult problem, and Michael Hunter is another guy. I mean, he's not getting enough fights. That's the only problem. I would suggest to Michael Hunter he stays busy, just fight whoever, and then when he gets a big fight, he goes and faces the guys there. Or, you know, he needs a little bit more to stay busy to build up his conditioning, because Michael he kind of fades in the middle to end parts. You can't be like that at this top level. And so Usyk, great win for Usyk. Again, it's not something I didn't expect, because like I said before, it was a 50-50 fight. It turned out to be more of 70-30 fight, I think. Usyk pretty much was in control of most of the fight. He was able to get the fight to go his way. Um, no surprise to me. No surprise to me. Would Usyk beat Deontay Wilder? Absolutely, he'd beat Deontay Wilder. He'd absolutely beat him. Not because Deontay Wilder's a bad boxer or anything. It's just that he's not. He's just Deontay Wilder would have to walk Usyk down. He would have to cramp him for space, or try to keep him at the end of his jab, which I don't think would happen because when you pop the jab, Usyk's already slipped it, going around it, probably threw in his lead right hand already. The only guy who's a challenge for Usyk, I think, at this point in time is Tyson Fury. But kudos to Anthony Joshua for the attitude of trying to learn and gather. And what I like about him, he's fearless about facing the toughest challenges out there. Because Tyson Fury didn't face Usyk. Deontay Wilder didn't face Usyk. Right? These are the top guys. They're not facing the competition that Anthony Joshua's facing. None of them have faced Andy Ruiz. So I take with a pinch of salt people who are critiquing Anthony Joshua, say, oh, he's lost to this guy and he's lost to that. Well, guess what? Are the other guys facing these dudes? Are the other guys facing these dudes? Right? Anthony Joshua's facing these dudes. He didn't get stopped by Usyk. Okay, he got stopped by Andy Ruiz. He avenged his loss to Andy Ruiz. And he's going to look to avenge his loss to Usyk. It's a taller order. It's a taller order because there's just so many subtleties to it. But I like that attitude where, okay, you got one on me. It reminds me of the late, great Joe Gans. Joe Gans, if he got beat, he'd go back to the drawing board, you know, well, whatever you want to call it, and he would look scientifically at the fighter, look for the flaws and stuff to exploit, and then he would work on a game plan. And then he would have to look at his skill set to see if he could exploit that game plan or make that game plan a reality. Because sometimes you have a game plan, but you ain't got the skill set to deal with the game plan, so you can't execute the game plan. So the game plan has to be one in which you're able to implement it. I mean, if you don't have the skill set to do it, then what's the use using the game plan, right? So, you know, I think Anthony Joshua, I'm sure he's going to learn from this. A lot of people are going to count him out in the rematch with Usyk because Usyk beat him the first time. But you never know. You just never know in this boxing game. But all I can say is I think that he has the right attitude, and we'll see. You know, I thought Andy Ruiz would beat him, and he didn't. Anthony Joshua outboxed the crap out of Andy Ruiz. Andy Ruiz was confused, and now Usyk boxed the crap out of Anthony Joshua. But not the same way how Anthony Joshua like landslide, you know, beat Andy Ruiz. In this case, Anthony Joshua, you know, okay, so 8-4, solid win for Usyk. You know, 8-4 was what I thought. I thought Joshua could have gotten about 4 rounds. You know, 9-3, 8-4. You know, which is, I mean, it's a comprehensive win for Usyk. You know, it don't get any less than that. Usyk definitely took 8 rounds. But the thing about it is, even so, it was competitive. It was a competitive match in which Usyk couldn't crash Anthony Joshua. He couldn't get him out of there. And similarly, Anthony Joshua, he had his times where he got his licks in on Usyk. Usyk took it. You know, and certain rounds he did pretty well. And for a guy like Usyk's status, you know, that's great. I mean, it wasn't as competitive as the Chisora fight. Chisora fight, you know, you could argue, but Chisora faded late because Usyk was working the body so much and had really great cardio. So, you know, Chisora could barely throw a punch at a certain point in time. Usyk could have finished him. But my point being that, you know, Usyk is that kind of dude. I'm not shocked about it. I told you guys I thought this was a 50-50 fight because I looked at Joshua's size, his power. I looked at his boxing IQ as well, which was pretty good. And I'm saying he might be able to pull this off. And then I was thinking about Usyk, and I was like, that's just a difficult style for anybody. You know, so you know, from that I would say it was a 50-50 fight. I wasn't going to call that fight. I was just going to watch it. And then when it panned out the way how I thought it was, one of the ways I thought it could go, I was like, yeah, 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 yeah. And so, Usyk outboxed him. But again, the thing about it is, as I said before, and I will say it again and again, I think that's a good thing because Anthony Joshua now in his archive and encyclopedia of information, he now has something to compute with. He's actually been in the ring 12 rounds with Usyk, so he's going to use that, and they're going to work on things to make sure that he can one counter Usyk a little bit more than he was doing, and where he had success, And the other thing he needs to do is he's going to have to hunt him down. He's going to have to pressure. Hands up and go for him. So at certain points in time, you need to have a hands up style where you're hunting the guy down. And if you want to crouch or you want to use your height, hands up and use your height and shoot from there so you can get more speed. The problem with it is going to be the pivot work. He needs to work a little bit more on his pivot work, how tight he does his pivot turns, working his angles. Just get a little bit more speed in your legs, in your pivot work, because you're always steps behind Usyk, and that's going to be a little bit of a problem. So you got to get that up to par, so you can turn with him. If you can turn with him, you're going to negate a lot of things, and like Teofimo Lopez did, Mayweather, Ugas. You can turn with the guy, and notice Ugas is a perfect example for Anthony Joshua to look at. Ugas is the perfect style. If you want to look at something that really would be effective against Usyk, Ugas' style. But Anthony Joshua had to lean forward a little bit, keep the high guard, turn with Usyk. So when Usyk throws his combinations and punches, he doesn't have that new angle on him because it's all about pivot work. And then Joshua can do his thing, counter over Usyk's jab, counter the left hand and so on. So and he has to understand the distancing. If Usyk goes one way and the other, so that means Anthony Joshua will need to know how to move one way or direct traffic by actually turning a certain way, so that Usyk automatically takes away certain angles that Usyk would have against him. So there's those kind of little things you have to think about. But Usyk does use the jab quite well as the left hand, so he's gonna have to look out for that jab, that counter jab over his left shoulder. So it's a lot of things he could do better. He doesn't have to circle, anti-clockwise. He could circle the orthodox way, which is clockwise, okay, away from Usyk's power hand. But the thing about it is, you kind of give Usyk an advantage with landing the left hand because he can always slip the opposite way and land the left. But then again, you must be also competent in doing it that way as well. So because Usyk might circle that way. So it's a tricky scenario, but we'll see how everything goes. Usyk, of course, feeling out Anthony Joshua to see what he brought to the table first, being able to check to see if he could land his left hand. And once he realized he could land his left hand, I think that was it. That was the night. Okay. Kudos to Anthony Joshua, though. He did very well against Usyk in the sense that he didn't get stopped, he didn't get dropped, he didn't get knocked out. And even when it's coming to the end of the fight where Usyk was trying to crash him, his defense was good enough that he wasn't actually getting hit with a lot of those flurries that Usyk was throwing. So, and that's why he looked at him and smiled at the end of the 12th. I don't think that Anthony Joshua got hurt in any specific way in terms of buzz. I don't think Usyk buzzed him tremendously or anything, but I think Usyk's repeated straight lefts seem to have damaged or fractured maybe or swell up Anthony Joshua's eye orbital. So he said he couldn't see in his left eye in the round 9. But a true champion fights through anything. So I mean, you wouldn't probably be bust up and your eye wouldn't be so swollen if you if you didn't collect so many left hands. So you got to give credit to Usyk on that. It's not your eye swole up. It's Usyk was hitting me in my eye so much I couldn't see through it. So you have to give credit where credit is due. Usyk was just landing like crazy. Very accurate. Very clinical, very precise. So shout out to Usyk, man, on becoming unified champion. Only got to get his one more belt. And we're going to find out who wins that belt come, when is it? Very soon, October the 9th. I think the fight goes down with Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. So we'll see who wins that. And The winner, Usyk have a rematch with Anthony Joshua. If Usyk wins that match, we're talking. Yeah, saying that that would be the best possible matchup. Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk would be the best possible matchup. If Deontay Wilder versus Usyk happens, well, I got Usyk winning all day, all day, all day of the week. But if Tyson Fury faces Usyk, that's an interesting challenge because Usyk is so much shorter and smaller than Tyson Fury. But I've seen Otto Wallen, who's another southpaw, who will be facing. I believe Otto Wallen is facing. I believe he's facing Dillian White, right? I think that's the matchup. Otto Wallen got busted up Tyson Fury's face. If we don't forget, Tyson Fury uses weight and size, so you never know. I mean, Usyk might be able to do something with him, Tyson Fury, and even get the W. And if Usyk ends up being the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, even though he's not really a true heavyweight, that would be pretty crazy, you know. So you never know. We'll see what happens. Of course, I would love to see Usyk versus Michael Hunter, a rematch. Michael Hunter needs to get better conditioning. He's a little bit sloppy as well, but that would be a good fight as well. But Usyk keeps on coming out trumps, man. This guy fought Artur Beterbiev. This guy fought. It's going to come to me. Hold on. Silver medalist in the Olympics. All right, Joe Joyce. He fought Joe Joyce. He beat Joe Joyce. All right. The only guy that beat Usyk in the amateurs was Sean Porter. Actually beat Usyk in the amateurs. Again, Sean Porter's style is such that he'll give Usyk problems. Bob and weave, very quick twitch, you know, get to the inside, slip and slide, shotgun jab and all that. It'd give Usyk a lot of problems. But, you know, it's just one of those things where, you know, when we talk boxing, it's just great to talk about boxing because, you know, the potential for Usyk is very high. And there's a reason he was a pound-for-pound fighter. Now he's going to really go up the pound-for-pound rankings. And, you know, he's going to be somewhere up there with Canelo and Terence Crawford now because that performance is pound-for-pound, top pound-for-pound performance. He's up there in the top 5. So shout out to Usyk on that. I'm going to catch you guys later, man. What you need in the building. But Anthony Joshua, not a bad performance by him against Usyk. It's just that he needs to press the action more, you know, bring the heat to Usyk more. Even if you're doing it in a controlled way, bring the heat to him more. You can't just box him. You have to fight him. You know, you can't just try to out chess play him. You have to do a little bit more than that. But I'm looking forward to the rematch, which is definitely going to happen. And I'm sure Anthony Joshua's going to come with more artillery and more arsenal. And we'll see. I mean, this is a thinking man sport, so I don't know if he can outthink Usyk, but he definitely is giving it a go at it, and that's all you want from a fighter like Anthony Joshua. You know, this fight was competitive. Was it close? No. Usyk won, but it was competitive, and that's all you need to know. Now, if you can do a little bit better, now Usyk knows you because he also fought you, so you know it might be a worse beating the second time around. It depends on what adjustments Anthony Joshua makes. Don't go in there trying to do the same thing. Try to put more pressure on him, add more things to your game, and use your size. Use your size to try and beat him down. You got to go at him from the opening bell. You got to go at Usyk from the opening bell, like how Tyson Fury went against at Wilder. You got to do something like that. You got to impose yourself. Keep your defense tight, but impose yourself. You know. So that's what I would suggest to Deontay Wilder, to Anthony Joshua. Yeah, people, what you need in the building. I'm gonna catch you guys later. Peace.